I'm Marshall Olmos with KSDT Sports, welcoming you to our first feature interview of the academic school year with none other than UC San Diego Tritons men's basketball head coach Eric Olen. Eric Olen arrived to UC San Diego in 2004, being an assistant coach for 9 years for our D2 squad before getting promoted to the head coach position in 2013. He then stewarded us through our transition from Division II to Division I, and now coaches the team in our first year of postseason eligibility. The Tritons sit at 12-2 in the Big West, tied for first in the standings, and 22-4 overall. Coach, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I want to start back in 1999 at Spring Hill College. So I printed this out. It's your player bio from that freshman season at Spring Hill under Coach Bill Carr. And at this point in time, you've almost spent half your life in Mobile and then half your life in San Diego. So when you think about Spring Hill College, when you think about McGill-Tulane High School, what are the type of memories that come back to you, and what are your favorite moments from your time as a player?
Oh, wow, yeah. No, you guys appreciate the level of research we're doing here for this. So, yeah, no, I mean, I loved growing up in Mobile, Alabama, and I still have family there, and it was a great place to grow up. It was a great place to play basketball and learn about kind of the game and in those ways. Tons of fond memories, tons of friends and family from there. We had a pretty good team. It was NAIA basketball at the time. We went to a few national tournaments, made I think an Elite Eight or two, and so we had a pretty good team at that stage. And I think I just learned a lot about just college basketball specifically, like at the lower levels, in terms of how good the players were, how hard it was to be successful, how hard you had to work, like all of those things that were important that translated well for me into my early years as an assistant, because I think the level was somewhat comparable to where we were as an NAIA program and where UC San Diego was at the time, at the Division II level. And so, I mean, my first couple of years out here as an assistant, I was practicing a lot. I had played for Bill Carr, who's now our general manager, and back, which is a cool thing for me. And so kind of knowing the offense, knowing the defensive schemes, like I was kind of a practice player for a lot of that, and trying to teach guys how to be successful. And so that I remember that really fondly. But yeah, I mean, playing's a lot of fun. So coaching's sort of the next best thing to that. And so it was nice. I was fortunate to have the transition I did, and be in the positions that I've been able to be in.
And what do you think then Coach Bill Carr saw in you as a player? And what did you see in yourself that told you might make a good coach after you were done playing?
Yeah, that's a good question. You probably have to ask him, like, specifically what he saw. But I felt like I was someone that understood how to play, in terms of seeing the floor, processing information. I was a limited athlete, but I was pretty good in terms of understanding the game, feel for the game. I could pass, I could shoot, I was pretty skilled, but like I was limited as an athlete. And I think some of those things where being able to process information or play with anticipation, I think that allows players to sort of reach their potential. Like there was a ceiling on what I could do as a player because of my athleticism, but I feel like I got pretty close to whatever that ceiling was because I understood what my strengths and weaknesses were and how to put myself in position to be successful. I think that understanding, if you can impart that on other people, like that's a lot of what we're trying to do as coaches. And so I think that's something our current team does really well. I think we have a lot of self-awareness. I think we play to our strengths. We know who we are. We complement each other well. So, I mean, I think in general, coaching, most coaches probably take their like playing and coaching experiences and that sort of shapes their philosophies and approaches to their teams. I feel that way certainly about myself, and a lot of the things that we do, I think, are things that kind of resonate with me in how I think about the game and see the game, and that's in retrospect probably true if you go back to how I was as a player in college and probably before that in high school and all of those things. So, I think like who you are in the world of basketball kind of shows up in how your teams operate.
And during high school, to give credit to you as an athlete, you were a dual sport athlete, baseball as well.
That's generous
Mo
for sure.
Mobile
Yeah.
is a very storied baseball city. Produced many incredible MLB players, and was your time as a dual sport. That also mentions your ability as a student, academically as well. So, was the whole package of you? Did you think that helped you seamlessly make transitions later on in life?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think we're all shaped by our experiences, a couple things on that. One, academically, I was okay, but like I would not have been admitted to UC San Diego. So, congrats to everyone who has been. That's an accomplishment in and of itself because this place is a pretty world renowned institution. The baseball, I played baseball as a kid, and then I was pretty focused on basketball. And in the you know 90s in Alabama, there weren't as many coaches and all that. So like our assistant basketball coach was also the baseball coach, and I would always kind of talk to him about like, oh, baseball's easy, anyone can play, and he talked me into like trying. I played like 1.5 years of baseball. It was not a real a real pursuit, but I had friends on the team and it was a good experience. But I think the actual dual sport athletes, not necessarily myself, but the ones who really do excel in multiple sports have an advantage. I think there's spatial awareness factors, the different sports that can kind of translate over. We have an incoming freshman next year, Uriah Tenet, who's an excellent quarterback on the football field, and I think a lot of that, anticipation, execution of plays and schemes, and passing as a quarterback translates to passing as a point guard. So we kind of factor all those things in our evaluation of players, and I do think that dual sport athletes and multi-sport guys can really benefit from that process, and we value that in the process.
Can't get enough of Tenet's highlights.
Yeah, those are fun to watch, right?
It's awesome. He's got some great mixtapes. So moving to UC San Diego and just the city of San Diego in 2004, what was that transition like from a cultural standpoint? And how well did you adjust in the early years? And how have you grown to love the city of San Diego?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a pretty easy transition for me. I mean, certainly I got the better end of that in terms of the weather upgrade. But so I thought it was easy. I've loved San Diego from the start. I mean, it's hard not to. And I mean, this has really become home for myself and my family. And we go back and visit. We have people that we love and care about in Alabama, but this is certainly home for us. And that transition, it's different. Like the pace of things is different. There's certainly cultural things that are a little different. And there's aspects of Alabama that we certainly miss. But yeah, we love it in San Diego. This has certainly become home for us, and we're excited to be here.
So, jumping forward 9 years, I want to bring you to Friday, November 15th, 2013. First of 232 career wins. Damon College, I think that's how it's pronounced, 56-66, a win at Remac Arena, what it was then known as, attendance 407. Do you remember that night? What were the emotions like in the locker room after the game? And bringing you back to 2013, what was the sports culture like at this school compared to now?
Yeah, I do remember some of this. I don't remember a lot of the details here, but again, impressed with the research you guys are doing. I remember that team more than I remember the specific game.
Yeah.
I vividly remember a lot of those guys who were part of the first team that we had and kind of helped us get things going. A lot of nerves going into it. Excited to kind of get the first one, and it's mostly relief. Like there's exceptions to all of it, but mostly, having a good result or winning the game is mostly just about relief and kind of being able to survive that one and get to the next one. But Yeah, like not a great offensive performance here for us.
Good
Not,
defensive
yeah,
performance.
I think we've evolved a little bit offensively from what we were doing here in my first year for sure. So yeah, I feel good about that. But I remember the players and the people a lot more than the specific games
Yeah.
and what those guys meant meant to me in this program is significant because I started as the interim head coach and just trying to kind of help those guys finish out the year. And, I was hopeful that I would have the opportunity to be in this position, but it was really more about them and the seniors on that team and James McCann and Mackenzie McCullough. And, you know, when I think about that group, I just appreciate their buy-in. It was a late coaching change right before we started practice. And, there was no hesitation. They were kind of all in and bought into to me being the leader in that situation and really helping us kind of make a little bit of progress in that first year but lay the foundation for what was coming. We had a lot of freshmen and sophomores on that team who went on to be really good players. A couple all conference guys in Drew Dyer and Hunter Walker, and then Adam Clyde, one of the best players in our history. So yeah, fortunate to have some of those guys in the program already, and then James McCann was a terrific senior point guard, which is a luxury for a very inexperienced coach.
Yeah. We did a feature interview with Adam Cly last year, and this was his freshman year, and he developed into an incredible player. You guys were making the tournament by his final season consistently, and like you said, is one of the best players in this program's history. Arguably, you can make the case that he's the best. And do you put extra value as a coach into your relationship with your best player, or is the dynamic pretty similar across uh, every single player on the team?
I think it's more of an individual thing in terms of how those relationships materialize.
Yeah.
I think we talk a lot about just authenticity being important and just trying to everyone being themselves. And so teams are like anything else in that not every person on every team is going to connect in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So sometimes you connect with your best player in one way and other guys in a different way, and sometimes some teams it's different. Maybe you don't connect with the best player in that specific year or example. But I think it's important to have a good relationship with your best players and with all the players, but specifically the ones who are kind of in the most featured roles, the highest usage guys, at least from a working relationship standpoint, because they're the ones on the court, they're the ones making the decisions. And so it's important for them to understand what we're looking for them to do, and then them feeling like they have the ability to communicate what's happening on the floor. I never want players out there thinking like, well, I'd like to do one thing, but coach wants me to do this other thing. So like they feel like they're in this box. So we want them to communicate what they see on the floor. They're the ones out there. We want to empower them to make decisions. And so, yeah, your relationship is important with your best players, but it's also interpersonal dynamics where, not every year is exactly the same.
You mentioned the word empowering your players, and I saw a commentary from a college basketball person not too long ago talking about how scary this edition of the Tritons is because of how you empower your players. And when I watch the team not only is just having so much fun, but you can tell that the coaching staff has instilled so much confidence in them. So this is our last question. Just talk about the joy you have coaching this group of guys. How much fun it's been this year.
Yeah, this one's fun. This is a great group. We've been fortunate to have some good teams and some special groups, and this one would be right up there with any of them. For me, this team is like, we're really smart. We pass the ball really well. Like those are two things that I think probably the best, like the smartest, best passing team that I've ever been a part of. And they just kind of have this collective feel or IQ that is hard to replicate. And so it makes it fun. We've had a couple other teams that were similar, but it really, like the teams like this that are so capable of kind of making the decisions and sorting things out for themselves, we actually end up doing like much less coaching. Like all our best teams, we coach the least, which is sort of the goal is to kind of build them up into with their understanding of what we're trying to do and execute to where they can kind of problem solve on their own, right? We talk a lot. We feel like we tell our team, we say this all the time, is that we have all the answers. It's just our job to figure out which solutions we need to apply to whatever is happening in that game. And so I think this group is especially great at that.
Mhm.
Both sides of the ball. It's probably the best defensive team we've ever had, and so it's easy. I think it's pretty common. A lot of teams sort of provide freedom offensively. I think we provide a lot of freedom defensively, with allowing those guys to be aggressive. And you see Hayden Gray making a lot of plays defensively, stealing the basketball. Chris Howell's exceptional at that. I think 4 of the 8 guys in our rotation have more steals than turnovers. I think a lot of people look at assist to turnover ratio. Like, we're positive in steal to turnover, so we're doing a great job with the possessions. But yeah, it just comes from trusting your players, believing in what they can do. And then, I do think our group has a lot of confidence. They should. They've played great basketball and they've sort of earned that. And they're really good players, right? So like that part of it provides confidence for them. They're experienced. So we got a great combination of skill sets, and I think they all have a really great mental approach to the game, and it makes it just a ton of fun to come to practice every day, just to be part of a team like this that is just enjoys it, approaches it the same way. They're super competitive, and it just makes it a lot of fun to come to work because we don't have to coach them a lot. We just sort of try to steer them in the direction and try to help put them in positions to be successful, and they sort of do the rest.
First in the nation in turnover margin. I love that statistic. It's the epitome of this team.
Yeah, it's absolutely a big part of what we're trying to do is win the possession battle, and we're not the biggest, most athletic, so it's harder to do that on the glass, and so I think our staff, especially the defensive focus with Clint Allard and Sam Stapleton and Steve Aldridge, really focused on the defensive side, have made a ton of progress this year and created some schemes that we've really benefited from, and our guys have really bought into and executed at a high level.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
KSDT Sports. Marshall Olmos. This is Eric Olen. It's been a pleasure. Good luck at Cal Poly on Thursday. We'll see you back for the Hawaii game on Saturday.
Sounds great.
All right.
Cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
My
joining.
pleasure.
I got a few other papers as well you can keep.
What's on the internet? You give us a Bill Carr, and then this is just one of my favorite boxes that I could find. It's against Monterey Bay. Raleigh keeps it 13. Like,